Whether it's road work or code compliance, Southfield has a high-tech, computer-related tool that reduces the cost and improves the efficiency of a wide range of city service operations. It's known as the Geographical Information System, or GIS.
Sally Price has been GIS coordinator in the city's engineering department for the past 5 years. She oversees the programming and improvement of one of the metro area's most advanced systems for putting vast amounts of vital information at the fingertips of over 200 city staff, including some 75 service specialists who use the system in the field.
It's very adaptable. We have many departments utilizing the GIS, from our DPW guys out in the field. They use it. Utility billing department uses GIS. We have GIS out in our police cars, out in our fire trucks. It's in dispatch, planning department. And again, everybody is using the same data. All of the data resides in one place to be able to be maintained there. And then everyone, code enforcement, our code compliance department uses GIS out in the field. Engineering uses GIS. We use it out in the field. We use it at the counter to help our residents. We all have it on desktops. I have over 150 users running GIS on their desktop. We also have an application out on the internet that residents can utilize. They can go in and get information about their property, their utilities. There's aerial photographs out there that they can look at. We also have a photo of every house within the city. The nice thing is the internet, so they can access that from home. But what it also benefits the resident, if they come in and they call somebody here at City Hall and they have a question, what GIS has enabled us to do is to sort of cross-train and share information between departments. So if a resident calls me in engineering, I can also help them with some zoning information because I have that all available right there through the GIS. I don't need to transfer the resident to planning to get that zoning information. So that's one thing that's been really allowed us to do, is to share information between users.
From the start of Southfield's GIS in 1998, precise measurement of property and utility lines by the satellite technology-related Global Positioning System has been critical in the continued layering of information on GIS.
And what we did was we started with our utilities. We went out and GPSed all of our infrastructure, and that took about 1.5 years. And then from there you start building applications, ways to access this information. And that's where we've created some real user-friendly custom forms that you can just put in an address and be able to retrieve the data that you're looking for, starting with ownership information. And over time, we add on to that by building layers. We would add our contour layers, building footprints. And the way our GIS has been built is pretty much by the users. A user would say, well, I would really like to see the soils on there. So then we would look into how we can get our soils data on there. And over the last 5 years, a lot of other organizations, USGS, Oakland County, they have been adding data digitally too. So as that becomes available, that's something we can add to our system and then put out there for all the different departments and the residents.
This is one of the city departments where GIS helps to save lives. Public safety dispatchers are trained to access GIS information and relay it to police officers or firefighters rushing to an emergency. Civilian Communications Director Ann Farquhar says GIS has brought major service improvements.
When we first got GIS in the city, we started using it for basically to spot the addresses for units that were responding to hot runs, either fire, medical, or hot police runs. It assisted the units in the field so that they didn't have to try and drag out a map and see exactly where a house was. We could look at the map, count from a particular corner how many houses down or what the house looks like, because we have aerial shots in there. And then in the fire side, we can also look at where the fire hydrants are, how many houses down from a particular address. Sewer pipes, water pipes, gas pipe, all that's in there. We can just add layers as we go, as we need it. If we just put the address in the field, the basic map that comes up first is a spatial shape of the plots of subdivisions, business lots, whatever they are. And with that, we can count from a particular intersection how many houses down a particular address would be. So at night, if a police car is responding to suspicious noises, for example, we can guide them in to the exact location without, them hunting around with a big spotlight or whatever. So and in the daytime, we can get a photo of the house, an aerial shot photo. So we could describe something if we aren't getting a lot of information from the caller.
Planning is one of several city departments that has been spared the tedious traditional task of finding and searching through heavy parcel maps in search of property information. GIS is considered a high-tech friend both to staffers and to residents with home computers.
In the planning department, before we had GIS, there were several different ancient map books that we would have to go to, refer to, cross-reference them to get some simple information that a resident or a contractor might want. For instance, zoning information, utility information, aerial photographs, information if a lot was splittable, things like that. So we can pull up their property by punching in an address, hitting the locate button, it goes to a specific piece of property. We can add different layers like sanitary water. Here I added the water system. You can see that there's an 8-inch water main along Rutland and 8 Mile Road. You can add things like aerial photographs on top of that. So here you can see what the aerial photograph looked like in 2002. You can add the zoning map, which basically will tell you what the zoning of the property is specifically. Before, it took a lot longer because we would have to compare our black and white map with, a parcel map and try to see what the zoning was. And this way you know specifically that this is the property and this is the zoning. It's very definitive.
Another of the city's important jobs is ensuring compliance with property appearance and safety codes. Linda Heidman is one of Southfield's 5 code compliance officers. She estimates that GIS has doubled her productivity, minimizing research time and virtually eliminating paperwork. In the field, her laptop computer contains all of the information she needs to inspect properties more quickly, correct code violations, and help Southfield look its best.
Yes, a good example would be if we were having water issues from one property owner to another property owner. We used to have to go to the surveyor's office, to a totally different department, look where the lot lines are, look them up manually, take them back out to the property, and while we would photostat, go out, try to find the property line and what the issue was with the water flowing from one property to the next. Now we sit right on the property. We've got the dimensions of the lots and the lot lines that actually show who's in violation and what we need to do to solve the problem at that point. We no longer have to come back in from the field to take the measurements of the property, to actually see what the overview is, and all of this up until we receive GIS capabilities. We have to do everything manually by going to different departments, at points several different departments, to find sewers, to find the actual right-of-ways and lot lines and so on and so forth.
Dale Mock is a water and sewer supervisor for Southfield's Public Works Department with 34 years of service. In recent years, he believes GIS technology has brought major change for the better in serving the public.
Well, we have the capability with the GIS on laptop and on our desktop computers. So if you're in the field, it saves you the time of driving all the way back here and going through paperwork, because all the information is right there in the GIS. And laptops are real helpful, especially after hours when we have emergency problems. You can save time by not having to come to the yard to pull up paperwork. You can pull up the GIS on the laptop, find usually all the information you need to know right there, so it saves time, because usually that's emergency works, sewer backups, water main breaks, or a customer has a broken pipe in the house. This saves you quite a bit of time, and usually in emergencies, time is what we're trying to save. GIS can be used to locate gates that we need to turn off, water gates, to isolate broken water mains. We can find sewer covers that we need to locate to check sewer backups to make sure the sewers are down and flowing. We can use it to help new construction find the Y location. so they can make their sewer tap. It also shows property lines, so we can tell a customer how far out he has to bring his copper to leave it, so when we make the tap. And then as the construction here on Franklin 696, it helped us locate all the gates so we can turn that water off when they start tearing the bridge down and put in a new water main.
Here's GIS in action on a water line repair call. A plugged water line had to be located precisely before crews can repair it. GIS data on a laptop computer provided the necessary information within minutes. Without the GIS, the search for the line could have taken much of the day.
The GIS is definitely an improvement in how we operate. It just makes everything, I think you should say 21st century here. We're using computers now instead of coming in and looking at maps that are 30 years old. So it definitely saves time, and we can make corrections quicker with anything we find, or even adding new material or new information is much quicker with the GIS.
Sally Price points out that GIS is adaptable. Both its information and applications will grow. However, its primary purpose will remain unchanged, to help the city serve the public more effectively and at lower cost.
One thing that I believe GIS has really done is helped with one of the city's strategic goals is to do more with less. And cross-train. This has really been able to make everybody more universal. Like I said, planning can do engineering stuff. Everybody can help that one resident without three of us being up at the counter helping one person.